Hi, welcome again. Welcome back. Today I have Ricky Wilson with me. Ricky is a wonderful makeup artist, super nice guy, works with a ton of really good celebrities and these socialites, and he has a lot of private clients. He's an ambassador for Dior makeup, has been for a little while, is wildly talented, wonderful person. We actually met working together for Coco Rocha. Coco is the person that introduced me to Ricky, and we worked together a few times since. Always have a great time with him. So I'm really pleased that he agreed to do this for me. Thanks, Ricky. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
It's nice
It's
to have
really
you.
good to catch up virtually. I haven't seen you in person in a minute, but I'm
I
always
know.
your every move on Instagram. And you know, the funny thing is when I'm having like a down day, I always look to your story to cheer me up because your memes are absolutely hilarious. Um,
Thanks. I
it
appreciate that.
always,
That's so funny. I have a pretty strong meme game, so
yeah,
okay.
literally like anyone that's watching this, if you want to laugh, just go to David's memes in his story. You're gonna laugh, even if you're having the worst day. So thank
uh,
you so much, friend.
my pleasure. My pleasure. So, Ricky, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like where you're from, how you got into doing makeup. Walk us through it.
Well, I am originally from Los Angeles, California, born and raised. I got into makeup pretty much by accident. I had some drag queen friends, and being like a young person that is in the community, and you always look up to drag queens, and because they're so popular, and everyone just kind of oohs and ahs when they get dressed up and they go to the clubs. So I wasn't really interested in makeup. I've always been interested in fashion, but just hanging around that crowd and them always putting makeup on. I used to go to the drugstore and get like some cheapy whatever and put it on me, and then I would get my sister and I would put it on her. And the crazy thing is when I started to become very serious about makeup, I would get all of the fashion magazines and I would actually try to replicate the look that was on the cover um, on anyone I can get in the chair. And that was like my mom, it was my sister, sometimes it was my brother. He probably wouldn't be cool with me saying that, but I used to put makeup on him all the time. And it was just it was a really interesting time because as an artist, you always have a learning curve, and I didn't have the privilege of going to any makeup school. So pretty much what I learned was trial and error, and it just kind of became something that I grew more and more passionate about. Like the more I did it, and the more I learned from my mistakes, and that's been my beauty philosophy forever. It's just been, this is makeup. It's not permanent, and if you make a mistake, don't give up. Just wipe it off and try it again. Like it's not that serious. It's definitely something that a lot of people they struggle with. Like so many people don't know how to do their makeup, but I always think that when you find like what works best for you, then that's what you should try to achieve when it comes to doing your makeup. And people out there that are interested in makeup, I would say try to find something or a makeup style that you like, and try to become the best at that. So for me, it's like a clean beauty. I'm really into clean beauty. I can do a lot of different things. I dabble in special effects. I've done so many different things over the course of all these years in doing makeup, but I think what I'm known for is clean beauty.
Interesting. So your advice to people starting out is just get your hands dirty, get up in it. I liked what you said about copying looks that you liked, like collecting magazines. I mean, the getting started too with the cross-dressing. Is that the right term, cross-dressing community, or is that the
Um,
right term? Should I re-record this?
no, no, it's okay. Just
No.
I mean, and I just had this conversation with someone. It's so many different like
There's so
PC.
many different, yeah, and I want to make sure I'm very respectful of every
Yeah,
community out there. But
yes.
they've introduced that community has introduced so much. So much has been taken from that community and put into fashion and into art. Into the influence is everywhere. It's everywhere. I think, even like with extensions and lashes, they were the first ones introducing to use glue and extensions, and that's a whole, the influence is super powerful. Like I feel like that's pretty cool that you kind of went to the source,
Yeah.
really, in a lot of ways.
The crazy thing is like YouTube makeup and Instagram makeup, it's not YouTube or Instagram makeup, it's drag makeup. They've been doing
It's
those
true.
tips and like way before YouTube was around, way before Instagram was around. So they've been baking and putting on 10 pairs of eyelashes at once and contouring
Fact.
with cardboard to get that
I've seen
cheekbone.
that.
Um,
That's the thing.
yeah, yeah. It's don't try that at home, kids. But it's really, uh,
That's
it's
cool.
really it's something that once I started to kind of emancipate from that world. And the crazy thing is, I never dressed up. Like, I mean, I did in Halloween one time. I was Missy Elliott, so I was walking around in this huge trash bag. You remember, like, I'm dating myself right now. The
No,
rain.
I remember that look. And Missy's amazing
Yeah,
at
I
any
know.
level, at any place. Yeah.
So, but other than that, like I would try to do makeup to kind of not really look pretty, but almost to look weird. So
Yeah.
I was like a futuristic type person. I got a job working at a very young age with MAC Cosmetics, and I would go in with like bands of like different shades across my eyes, or I would do like a Ziggy Stardust lightning bolt, or just like very
Love it. Love it.
abstract makeup,
Yeah.
and not necessarily to look pretty.
Gotcha. Was that Mac job your first official like makeup job?
Yes. So crazy thing is, gosh, 23 years ago now. I'm gonna start
You
lying
were
about
four
that.
years old. You were 4 years
Yeah,
old.
I'm definitely gonna start lying. I'm gonna start saying I started makeup 10 years ago, but it's actually been 23 years. And
Wow.
um, after the drugstore, I had a caboodle, okay, just to show you how long ago this was. And I used to go and get like Revlon and Maybelline and whatever. Wet and Wild was a Jordana. Those brands were like my go-to brands from the beauty supply store, and I had a full caboodle of those. And
Wow.
then one of my drag queen friends, they were like, "Honey, like you need to be using MAC. What are you using all that cheap stuff for?" And I was like, "What is MAC?" I had no idea what it was. They were like,
Wow.
"Go to the mall," and I was like, "Okay." So I went to the mall. And I went to Mac, and I was just looking around. Somebody was like, "Oh, can I help you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just kind of looking around." And they were like, "Oh, what are you looking for?" I was like, "Maybe some eyeshadows," because I was really into eyeshadows back then.
Okay.
So she showed me like three shades. And the funny thing is, I didn't have a lot of money back then. I was just like a struggling college kid. I was a college cheerleader, so I became like the makeup artist for the cheerleading squad.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, it was kind of interesting. The makeup was really bad. It was it was very matchy matchy because we had like blue and gold, so it was like gold and then blue in the crease. Very horrible.
I
Yeah.
got you.
So she sold me like three eyeshadows, and they were the eyeshadow colors that would match the uniforms that we had, because I was doing makeup on the cheerleaders by that time. And I was so taken aback when I gave her the money and she told me how much that was. And back then, I think MAC eyeshadows were $11.50 each, and
Hmm.
even 10.50. And she told me it was like almost $40, and I was like, for eyeshadows? I was like, oh, hell no.
I love that. It's so funny, but like, is this putting it on itself? What's going on?
Right. I mean, because I was just used to getting like 5 or 10 for like $4.
I got you.
So that was something that kind of introduced me to the mall makeup. But the crazy thing is I learned instantly the quality difference.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that, not knowing, anything other than what I was using, I noticed the difference in quality immediately. Like it didn't take a long time for me to build up the color, and it was much easier for me to work with these colors. So basically, I was, every time I got paid, which is every 2 weeks, I was at the Mac counter spending almost all of my paycheck on makeup, and I
Wow.
became one of their top clients. They looked for me because I would always buy as much as I could. And then one day, this woman, I'm still friends with her now, named Tracy. And Tracy was like, "What are you doing with all this makeup? Are you a drag queen?" I was like, "No, I have drag queen friends. I just do makeup on the cheerleaders because sometimes I would come in and with my uniform on." And she was like, "You do makeup on cheerleaders? Do they pay you?" And I'm like, "No, they don't pay me." "How many people are on the squad?" I was like, 40, but I don't do everyone's makeup.
Okay.
So she was like, "Why don't you work here?" And I was like, "I am not a makeup artist." She's like, "But you're doing makeup." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm not a makeup artist." And automatically I kind of went into how many times my friends had interviewed for MAC Cosmetics and didn't get the job. And to me, they were like up here. They were the upper echelon with what they did with their faces and how they transformed. So me, I was like, I can never work here. Look at all of you guys. You do such beautiful makeup, and I would never be able to work here. And
Wow.
fast forward, I got an interview and I got hired on the first try.
Wow.
Yeah, lost some friends.
Oh, really? Were they jealous?
Shady.
That's
Shady.
hysterical. That's very, very funny. But I do think that that's cool. Sometimes it does take someone else to pull you aside and go, "You're ready. You don't realize that you're ready, but you can do this." Because she
Yeah,
clearly saw it in you. And if you were like, honestly, if you were like slapping around 40 faces a week, you were more than ready. That's a
yeah,
lot of work. That's a lot
yeah,
of work.
yeah.
Wow, how amazing. So walk me through how you ended up here in New York and at the level that you're at. Like, I mean, honestly, as a kid buying, makeup at a grocery store, and then now you're an ambassador for Dior makeup, that's a big leap. So
Yeah.
tell me how that happened.
So when I was working with Mac, oop,
Heard that? It's gone.
yeah, that was my refrigerator.
No worries.
So
Good.
when I was working with Mac, I got promoted pretty quickly. Like I got like 3 promotions in a very short amount of time. And I remember coming to New York for Fashion Week. And it was the first time that I had ever been in New York. And my birthday was after, because my birthday is coming up. So it was around September 11th through whenever. And I was blown away by Bryant Park and what Fashion Week was. And then when I stayed, I ended up meeting a hair person that I met backstage. And his words to me was, "Honey, you need to live in New York. This is where it's at. LA is not where it's at." And I was like, wow. So very interested. And I did like New York City.
Yeah.
I went back to Los Angeles and I put it in my mind. I said, I need to live in New York. New York, I fell in love with it. It was amazing. I saw all these models, I saw all these celebrities. It was definitely an amazing time. So I decided to move. Now, I got back around October 2nd or 3rd, and
What
I
year? What
moved.
year are we talking?
This was 2002.
Okay, so yeah, it honestly shows around that time were pretty magical.
Amazing.
It really was an extraordinary time to be working in the
It was
business.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like it was beyond anything that I can even see on television.
Yeah, and you're right. It was the height of, I mean, it had built already to a point where it was whoever was the celeb of the moment was at the shows. It was the girls were incredible. Everything was so incredible.
Yeah. And that is a fairy tale because I was like selling all my stuff. I didn't have a place to stay. That guy told me that I can stay with him.
That's
That
nice.
didn't really work out.
Oh,
But
sorry.
I ended up moving on Black Friday, which is like late November of that same year.
Mhm.
So I've always been the type of person that is like, if I get something in my mind, I have to do it right then and there, because if I wait, then I get inside myself and I will never do it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's actually a good thing to know about yourself. And I don't think you're alone there. I think there are a lot of people who will see this who have thought maybe that they could do makeup and talk themselves out of it, like you almost did at the
Yeah.
Mac store. Every
Yeah.
once in a while, you got to just. I'm like that. I feel like I can do almost anything as long as I'm doing it at 100 miles an hour. Like if
Mhm.
I stop to think about it, there's a lot of things that I won't do. You know,
Yeah.
so I can see where that's a thing. So that's cool. So you moved to New York, understandably fell in love with it. It was magical. So you've been in New York a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
like 18 years, 17 years.
yeah, yeah. And it's crazy because when I moved, I left Fashion Week and the week after was my birthday. So it was still Fashion Week was going on. It was still warm. And I had never seen snow before in my life.
No
And
way.
I moved in November, all that was gone. The models were wherever they were. And
You
um,
just found yourself in the snow.
the celebrities were hiding out. And all I see is snow. And I'm like, what did I do? So for the first like 2 years, I was trying to find myself.
Mm,
Like I said, I didn't have an apartment, but I ended up getting like a share.
okay.
I had a job. I was still working with Mac at that time, and that's kind of how I got introduced to Dior. Uh,
Okay.
one of my old bosses, when I was in LA with Mac, I didn't know that she moved to New York, and I didn't know that she was with Dior. So I remember being at Saks. I was working at Saks Fifth Avenue, and I had a face chart. And face charts are my way of like releasing like any like energy that I need to release. I just release them on a chart.
Oh, that's
And
good. And a lot of makeup artists I see will sketch out ideas and stuff like that. For people who are watching that are aspiring that don't know, where can you get those anyway?
You can actually go online and just download a face chart template, and
Oh,
then
really?
take it to Staples because you want to get it laser printed on like a sketchbook paper.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's regular paper, your makeup won't adhere to it nicely. So what I
Oh.
do is I just take like a JPEG
Uh-huh.
and I buy a sketchbook, and then I have them laser print the face onto the sketchbook. So
That's cool. I didn't know that. Now my viewers know. Thanks for the inside tip. That's cool. So you were working at Mac,
uh-huh.
kind of figuring yourself out and like banging out, and this person that you knew from Mac was at Dior, and what happened?
Yeah. And she literally walked by, and I looked up and looked back down, and I said out loud, I was like, that looked like Michelle. And she turned around, she was like, Ricky? And I was like, hey. And she was like, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I moved here not too long ago. I had already been there for about a year. And so I was like, yeah, I moved from LA. And she's like, well, what are you doing here at the counter? Because I was a trainer and a trainer for a lot of different stores at Mac. But when I moved to New York, I didn't want to assume that role because I wanted to see if I liked it first. I can't just come in telling people what to do and this and that. That's not ever my style. So I told them that I would work somewhere, and then once something became available, then I would post for that position. The crazy thing is that things were becoming available, but because I wasn't really meshing with Mac on the East Coast like I did on West,
Mm.
I was just there. And
Were you
so
getting passed over for stuff?
no, I just didn't post for the job because I didn't.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was like the energy wasn't the same.
I
So
gotcha.
so I was like, okay. And then she told me that they were starting at Dior a national makeup artist program. And she said that these makeup artists, it was going to be 10 of them around the country, and they would get to work underneath the celebrity makeup artist at that time. Her name was Patty DuBrow,
Oh yeah, I worked with Patty. She's lovely.
artist. And the crazy thing is that I had heard Patty's name and her work, but I had never really seen the scope of how amazing she was. And so I got hired in that role. And because I was in New York, I was basically like in the Dior realm, Patty's go to person for Dior. And that was a very interesting opportunity because anytime she did any like press or any personal appearances, I was the person that had to prepare for her. I was like basically like in the Dior world, like her first assistant.
Nice.
And that was something that was great because she taught me a lot. She's also very into clean beauty. So just learning how she uses very little foundation, and how she tries to make the skin as very like as transparent as possible,
Hmm.
really helped me in my career, because I didn't really have celebrities back then. I had done like a few celebs with Mac, but it was like the Mac celeb look where it was very caked on.
Yeah.
It wasn't really modern celebs. But working underneath her for the time that she was in Dior was amazing, and it opened up a lot of doors. And when she left, I interviewed for her job and I got it.
That's awesome. I have to say, and that is cool because it seems like you literally got like the full spectrum of makeup taught to you. You know what I mean? From like full blown over the top, 20 pairs of lashes on one eye kind of vibe. And then the other thing with like the most minimal, seeing how, because I've worked with Patty and I know her work is exquisite, but
Mm,
understanding that it's really the lightest touch can make the biggest difference.
yeah.
And they both have their place. They
Mhm.
both have their place. So it's a really, you got a great education. That's amazing. That's such a cool experience. And since then, you've been killing it in New York. The Dior thing is a very cool thing for you to have. And at the same time, you have like great private clients. Like you've done so well for yourself. What would you say would be your advice, not just for people, because it's such a weird time right now, like with what's happening with COVID and all, and it's affected us all. Like you said, we haven't seen each other in person in forever. I haven't seen anybody in person. I just started like getting jobs back or whatever. But what would be your advice to people who are in it, like to give them encouragement to hang in, or advice to people who are interested in getting makeup, like how to get started?
I would say my biggest advice would just be, to take the time if we are in a pause, and this is something that I did professionally. I really took the time to just kind of do more education, more research, and to practice my skills, even though I'm not practicing them on people right now. I've really been educating myself when it comes to ingredients and cosmetics,
Mm,
comes to like what the latest trends are, in makeup. We're wearing masks, and so what are we doing with the eyes? And then how is it that in Asia, because I work in Asia a lot and we've been wearing masks in Asia for quite a while,
true.
so how is it that they're able to wear lipstick every day? When they take the mask down, they have a lipstick. And then women in the US, we wear a mask and they take the mask down and lipstick is all over their face. So it's just basically coming up with like those tips. And I've always considered myself a motivator, but sometimes it's very hard to motivate myself. So I always try to look for inspiration from my colleagues and just people out there that are going through what I'm going through. But
Mhm.
the crazy thing, and what's been giving me the most gratification during this past 7 months of the COVID era, we like to say, is really like motivating and coaching and teaching others, through social media and all of the other various outlets that we have available to us,
Yeah.
even or anything. That's basically what I've been doing, and it's been so fulfilling. I can't even, when you look for a silver lining and things that are like, wow, like that's definitely been my silver lining. Like just getting all of the feedback from people saying, wow, like you really helped me out. Wow, you really motivated me. Wow, you reposted the look that I created on your Instagram. Like that made my year. I'm like, I just like the look, but you never know how you're impacting others.
You're right. It's so true. And you do have a very genuine, nice way about you where I think people know that if you're complimenting them, it's sincere. You know what I mean? It's a nice thing. And you're right, it is good to be really encouraging. I feel like a lot of people are having a really hard time right now. So any nice words that you can pass on or encouragement in the work. What would your advice be really quickly to people who are on the come up? People who know nothing about makeup, just like the way you got started, but are fascinated by the world and want to get in?
I would say, just start practicing and acquiring as much as you can. And if you don't have the means to go to a school in makeup, I haven't even like checked to see what they're doing for makeup schools lately. I think everything has been pretty much online. I know that the makeup show just passed and it was virtual. I'm not sure what's going on with IMATs, but any trade show, anytime that you can go and get education, even if it's virtual, make sure that you learn from the pros. I'm not here to knock any like influencer or YouTuber or anything like that. If you like that style of makeup, then you follow and you do and you try to maximize your potential in that style of makeup. If you're into fashion, you follow makeup artists that work in that realm and you see what they're doing and you try to emulate that and also put in your own unique flair and like your little likes and things that you do for when it comes to that. But I would just say like not to ever think that you should know it all. And I think that we're in an era right now that a lot of people feel like after about a year, they just know everything. And that's not true. Like you got to pay your dues and you gotta really learn because trends are just that. Like trends come and go. And if you learn makeup and everything that you've learned is a trend, then when that trend evolves, you need to always have something to fall back on. So you have to learn the basics first before you learn that very dramatic cut crease with the concealer and the tint eyeshadows and the glitter and the liquid liner and all that stuff. Like you can always fall back on that, but you really have to start from basic color theory, learning about art, learning about face shapes, learning about eye shapes, and also learning about makeup and how it translates on people that are different ages with different skin concerns. Because as a makeup artist, you should be able to do anybody that sits in your chair, regardless of their age, regardless of their skin tone, and regardless of what they have going on. So
I love that. That's so true. I feel the same way with hairdressers. Like there should never be anyone that sits in your chair that you just kind of like your eyes get wide and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. That should never be the case. There should always, if you're going to call yourself a professional, you should be able to work on anyone,
yeah,
anyone. But I like that. That's actually really excellent advice. Like learning the skills. Don't learn the trends. Learn a skill set, and then you can go from there. You can break the rules once you know all of them. You
yeah,
know, and you never always know everything. I mean, if you did know everything, that would be a really boring existence. Like I feel like I'm always learning too, and it's kind of fun. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm an accomplished hairdresser, but I don't know everything. I would sound like an idiot saying that. That would be terrible, you know. But thank you, Ricky. That was awesome.
thank you.
Very inspiring. Thank you so much for doing this for me.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. I
Anytime.
I know my viewers are gonna love you just like I do. Exactly. You have spent a lot of time in Asia. Ricky, thank you again. I really appreciate it. And to everyone watching, thank you for watching. And follow Ricky. Ricky, tell him what your Instagram is real quick. I'm going to post this on mine, but
Oh, sure. My Insta is at Ricky Wilson Beauty.
okay, perfect. When I post this video, I'll post some pictures of his work and a link to his Instagram so you guys can see, and on the YouTube as well. All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
And Ricky, I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye bye.